Well, welcome back to Workshop Studios. We're going to talk guitars today, and this is a clone that I built a while ago, Gibson ES 335 clone, and had a lot of fun doing it, and I've done several since. But I found out, because this is the first one I did, that I go to all this trouble to make a pretty finish on this guitar, and I end up with wires running across the F-hole. And I didn't know what to do about that at first. I had used the template that they provided, and this is fret wire. The template to wire these up I used, but it ends up that because there's so many wires running all over the place, it's difficult to get that wiring so that it doesn't show through the F-hole. So this video is about how to wire this particular kind of a guitar. This is a semi-hollow body guitar. How to wire this so that they don't show through in the F-hole. So a very helpful person off of the internet suggested building a template that matched what the guitar looked like this. So you can see many of the different components. Here's the 1/4 inch one, should be down here, but you can see how the F-hole lines up there. There's the posts, and you can see all the different knobs are here. And the idea is to run the wires so that they go in this kind of U-shaped around here, and then off to the 1/4 inch plug, which is actually more down here. But you can see it that way. And then the very helpful thing is that if you turn it over, this is what it looks like from the inside of the guitar. So this is the back of all of the pots, and that way you can see where the wires go and make sure that they don't get seen in the F-hole. So you end up wiring everything, making kind of a wire harness out of it, and then slipping it down through the F-hole and bringing everything in, and then installing it that way. So it's a little tricky, and that's what we're going to do today. Is we're going to walk through this process of wiring all these up on another guitar that I'm working on. So let's get started. All right, so here's the template with the various controls and pickups in it already mounted, and it's ready to start wiring. And again, I'll remind you that this is supposed to be basically a duplicate of what's on the front of the guitar for all these holes, and the intent is to keep the wires from showing. So again, I'll show you this. The wires run like this on the dotted lines. And by the way, I will have a picture of both the front and the back in the post down below here. So let me get started on wiring these up. Alright, so we're going to continue on with our wiring video, and as we've seen, we've put all this together, and now we have both the, scoot over here, both the neck and bridge volume, or pickups in place, and so those wires have been routed down through here, as you can see, and then we've also have this post and this post wired with these ground wires here. So we need to now hook our bridge and neck wires, which are these two, and the two ground wires to our wiring harness here. But as you can see, it's going to be tough. This one's long enough to go there, but this one's a little shorter because it goes all the way up to this yellow one goes all the way up to the neck, and so it's shorter. It'll be fine for reaching down to where it needs to be, but it's just a little short to be hooking it onto here. So we're going to have to take these out of here to be able to wire the rest of everything up. And that's fine. It just means I need to make sure that we know what's what here. And so I've labeled each of these. That's neck volume, that's neck tone, that's bridge tone, BT, and this is bridge volume, BV. So this way I can know what I'm looking at when I'm wiring. So let me go ahead and take this out of here. There's nothing to it really. I need to just take all these screws back off of here, and this whole thing will drop out. Now when it's all put together, it's not a bad idea to put just a little bit of maybe black electrical tape around this harness so that it stays into this U shape that we've talked about before. But we won't do that yet because we need to get all the wires in place and then figure out how it's going to go in there. And then we will get this hooked into the guitar. All right, let's get started on that, and I'll take this out of the board here. So the next you see this, it'll be all loose and we're ready to solder. All right, so here's the wiring harness out, and you can see it looks a bit of a tangle. I know how it works. It kind of runs like this. Oops, over to there. And here are our pickups here, neck. Well, yeah, I think this is neck and this is bridge. So we're going to be putting those in there. I've also taken a moment to put an extension, see if you can see here, on this ground, these two ground wires that come from the two posts up here. I've put an extension so it makes it a lot easier to get over to where I want to hook those on. So I've already soldered that into place. And I'll put a piece of shrink tubing on that one to make sure that it doesn't touch anything that's not supposed to. All right, so I'll get started on that bit. And then I can show you how I'm doing these, but I'm going to refer back to the wiring diagram that I've shown you before, this one, to show kind of what I'm doing here. And again, I refer you to this. I'll have that link down below. This is from Stuart McDonald. It's on their website, but I'll have a link to that so you can pull this up too. And it's like many wiring diagrams. You just need to follow the wires and hook them on where they're supposed to go. So I think I'll go ahead and solder offline here, and then I'll show you what it looks like after we're done. And then once it's all put together, we'll run a test on it to make sure everything's working. All right, let's get going on our soldering. Okay, so we have neck pickup is yellow wire to the, zoom in a little for you here, into the neck volume pot, and that hooked into here, and if you can see that, there's the ground wire hooks over to here, and then the bridge volume is here, and this is the bridge volume wire, the red one, and it hooks down to here, and the ground wire comes over and hooks on to the casing of the pot, as well as this extended green wire that I did, which I put the shrink wrap on. So we are now ready to test. This is all wired, and what we're going to do is plug this into an amp, and then we'll tap these. Oops, get over here to the bridges. We'll tap these because these are the coils, these little round things along in here. You can see that little round jobbers there. Those are the different little pickups, if you might, the coils that pick up the vibration of the metal strings. So we'll plug it in and we'll tap on each one of those to make sure that it's coming through here. And then we'll try out the volume and make sure that it goes up and down. All right, here we go. By the way, I forgot to mention, you want to put something down, like this piece of cloth that I've put here. Put something down over the top of the guitar because you are soldering, and some hot solder hits that and the finish is going to be marred by that. So I have a plastic old cutting board here that I can solder on, as well as up here when it needs to be on top of the guitar. I put this piece of cloth here. It doesn't matter. It's not going to catch on fire or anything. It's not that hot. But just something to protect the finish so that these don't scratch it and you don't drop any hot solder right onto the finish. And that just helps to keep this all in place. And the other trick I used was right here. If you can see this particular pot here, I've stuck it in that hole there just to give it some stability so it doesn't move around. Because sometimes when you're soldering you need 4 hands and it just doesn't work. So you want to get things hooked down and bent into shape so that they're pretty close to where you want to solder. Just some tricks on protecting your guitar and on soldering. All right, well, let's get started on testing. All right, so we have our amp hooked up. Here's the wire, and you can hear the amp over there. Let me turn the volume up a little more. Okay, so we know that it's working because I'm touching that. That's kind of feedback. Now it's the switches on both neck and bridge, so let's tap on them. Hear that? Everything seems to be working there. Let's just go to 1. Not this one, but this one. So that way is for the bridge, and there's the neck, and nothing on that one. So I'll go ahead and mark this. This is neck on this side, bridge on this side. So it sounds like it's all working. So hooray, we can go ahead and install, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. All right, so sorry I couldn't show you all that because I was having to get in there and stick my head in the way and all that. But they're all in place, so they should all be hooked up correctly. But we're going to do another test. Now I haven't tightened all these down completely yet, but so one other suggestion from doing it this time, even though I've done it once before, is you get all these in here and you shove this one all the way in back first, and then start to put these into place, because this one stretches out and the wires need to stretch out with it. The other thing is this particular one, this is the one for the, sorry, you can't see here. This is the one for the neck pickup. This one right here, that's the volume for the neck pickup. And that wire is stretched pretty tight. So just be sure that you get that into place, and you have to kind of push the wires underneath, get underneath with your finger and kind of push them into place. So one last thing is there is one wire you can see right here, but what I'm going to do is use something sticky like maybe double-sided tape and just push it up top like that, and it'll hold it in place. So we've got one last to do, but let's test first and make sure everything's working. Well, this is just to show you that not everything goes according to plan. So I had ended up putting a wire, this particular wire, which is the green wire all the way down to here, that was too short. And when I went to put this switch in the right spot, it pulled the wire off of here. So I had to yank everything out to find which one had gone bad. So now I've got plenty of wire on here. So that's another thing to be mindful of. Don't be skimpy with the wires. And some of the wires they give you are just not quite long enough. They don't work so well. So anyhow, we got that sorted, and now we're back to, get over here so you can see what I'm doing. You can hear both of those. There's, and good. So everything's working again. So let's go ahead and reinstall. All right, so there they are, all back installed, and wires are all kind of tucked away. I'll still fix this one over here that we talked about, but here we are. So this should be the, turn that up a little so you can hear it. Hopefully hear that. And nothing up there. And then, yeah, good. Sorry, truck going by here. So now you can hear both of them. There we go. Yep. Neck only, bridge only, both. Perfect. And then tone knobs, won't be able to tell much, but you can tell it's a lower there. Hopefully you can hear that, and then it'll go more trebly here. Yep, good. All right, we are done with the wiring. We'll continue on then. Well, welcome everybody. Here it is, all finished. I'll show you this at the beginning so you know what you're in for. But this is a kit build, 12 string, and it's meant to be sort of a Gibson ES 335 clone. But I was going for something that's a vintage look. It's a dot 60s cherry red. I sort of got cherry, but it's a burgundy slash. Anyhow, it turned out really nice. Most of it is complete, and I don't have a emblem on the top here yet, but we'll work on that. Pretty good. This is the neck. This is both. This is the bridge. And yeah, sounds pretty good. Probably wouldn't play that song on it, but so it's kind of a vintage sounding 12 string, if you like that kind of thing. Sort of a secret agent man thing. So yeah, turned out really nice. All right, hope you enjoy, and thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. Can't tell you how much I appreciate it when you do that. It really helps me, helps the channel. Nice to get that feedback from you all too. Thanks, and keep watching.